Alrighty, we are here looking at a completed version of the list of multiples program. This is not getting input from the user and stuff like that, so you still need to figure out how to do that to get that full program thing finished for that was due the other day. Anyways, I digress. We're looking at a function version or a full program version of list of multiples, which should be called list of factors. You know what? I'll change it in this video. Anyways, maybe moving on forward, we'll start calling it list of factors. So list of multiples now correctly named list of factors. This is the one that where if I get the list of, well, now I need to change the name here too. Factors. Oh, do we change everything? Let's, instead of calling this the multiple list, we'll call it the factor list, as it should be named. The factor list, and then over here I gotta change it from multiple list to the factor list, and then over here I got to change it to the factor list, and then over here I got to change it to the factor list. Okay, we're done. Now we're actually set up. This should, we already had it from the previous video, should take in the number that you want the list of factors for, and then print out a list with the factors kind of written twice because it gets them in both orders. What we want to do is edit this program. Not yet to deal with that. That'll be a little bonus video after this just to make it look prettier. But we just want to make this as a 2D array. So I'm holding on to each pair in its own mini list, which makes it a little more nicely organized. So we're just going to play around with this a little bit and see how to do it. There are multiple ways to do it. And we're just going to do it together one way here. If you want to do it another way, it might be better. It might just be different, whatever. But let's get to it. So to make this a 2D array, this factor list is, maybe I'm going to change this to be called the factor pair list. No, it's fine. It'll just be the factor list. Who cares, right? But what I do need is, instead of just appending straight up to a list, what I should be doing is making a pair. I want to make it create a list, but you don't want it to be creating blank lists, right? So I wonder if I do factor list at, nope, that won't work. That won't work. Aha. Got it. This is how, ready? Okay, this is how we do it. Inside, sorry that, I'll explain it now, and sorry about that quietness while I was figuring it out. So, inside of this if statement, I'm going to, because now I know that I times j, right? If you followed from the last video, if I make it inside this if statement, I know that I have a pair. I know that I times j make the number, which means that I and j it's a pair of factors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pair blank list. So this is my pair of factors, right? And maybe I'll even do better. I'll call it pair of factors. And instead of appending directly to the factor list, I'm going to say pair of factors dot append I, and then pair of factors dot append j. So now I have this pair of the two factors, I and j. So for the first one, it would be 1 and 12. Once I have that pair, I can then append that pair to my factor list. So I'm going to say factor list dot append the pair of factors. And let's just take a look at exactly what's going on here before we run it again, because I think that's all the edit that we needed to make. So instead of just appending I and j directly to the factor list, which will make this long 1D array, what I did was, when I knew that I had the pair, I go into my if statement and I make a temporary variable that only exists inside, a local variable that only exists inside of this if statement. And I just say, all right, it's an empty list right now. Then to that pair list, I'm appending I and I'm appending j. Now that I have the pair, I'm going to take that pair and I'm going to append the pair of factors to my factor list. But because I'm appending something that is a list itself, it's going to automatically organize it into those sets of pairs. So let's take a look. If I run this right now, I should be making that nice 2D array. Instead of just 112, 2, 6, 3, 4, blah, 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 it'll be 112 in a pair, 2, 6 in a pair, etc., etc. If we did this right, let's see. And yeah, exactly that, right? So now you can see we actually made it into a 2D array where it has every single pair kind of separated out. And it's a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs. And again, this doesn't just find 12, right? It should be able to find anything. If I do the list of factors for 25, though I think that's kind of boring. Isn't that just 1 and 25 and 5 and 5? Yeah, right? It's 1 and 25, 5 and 5, and then 25 and 1. But it's still, it works for anything, right? I could do the list of factors for 46, and it should do that, right? Boom, it gets all of the, wow, that's actually a small one also. Yeah, but so anyways, this now is creating just that little tweak, creates it as a 2-dimensional array, which is just a little nicer, a little more organized, a little prettier, which is a lot of what we're doing in programming. It's just organizing it a little bit better and making it a little bit easier to understand. Though sometimes the code that you have to do to make it easier for the user to understand your output ends up being a lot more complicated. That's just how it goes. That's it for this video. I'm about to, along with this, there'll be a bonus one that you can go through. That's just going to try and deal with this issue, right? Where I don't want to double it up. That's probably going to involve a lot of grossness over here. So yeah, I don't want to include that part in this video. That'll be its own separate thing. That's it. There you go.